If you are exhausting yourself trying to manifest a goal, you are ensuring you remain separated from it. The harder you run toward the thing you want, the further away it gets. You've probably followed the standard playbook, building vision boards, repeating daily affirmations, and intensely hoping for a breakthrough. But these actions often act as a barricade, reinforcing the distance between where you are and where you want to be. This happens because of a simple tension in the structure of consciousness. The state of wanting requires a vacuum. It requires the absence of the thing desired. By definition, to want something is to acknowledge that you do not have it. This logic model shows why wanting backfires. Reality acts as a mirror. Operating from wanting keeps the target out of reach. The energy bounces back, trapping you in a future tense. This builds a solid wall in the present, locking you out. As long as you generate the feeling of needing or hoping, you remain stranded on the far side of the bridge. You provide a blueprint for a reality that must continuously deliver the experience of not having. To break this loop, you have to bypass the process of getting entirely. Neville Goddard taught a specific mechanical sequence for this. You leap over the how and the when, and you land your consciousness directly in the after. This relies on a core principle. Physical reality is consciousness that has crystallized into form. The mental state is the mold that the physical world eventually fills. Look at this 3D model. Formless particles of potential collapse into a rigid physical structure. To change the final crystal, you must alter the internal blueprint before the pieces snap together. But to rewrite that blueprint, you have to temporarily dissolve the current one. You do this by entering the liminal space, the threshold between waking and dreaming, where the physical world feels less solid. In this drowsy state, your physiology slows down. Your analytical, conscious mind, the part of you that judges, doubts, and looks for evidence, goes offline. This leaves the subconscious entirely exposed and ready to be reprogrammed. You don't change your life by fighting circumstances in the waking world. You bypass them by hacking the programming layer while it is undefended in the liminal state. There is a common mistake in this process, trying to feel explosive excitement. But when you actually possess something, the feeling isn't high-octane celebration. It is an ordinary, quiet, taken-for-grantedness. This first-person view represents the reality of ownership. It feels normal. This works because your subconscious mind makes no distinction between a real memory and a vividly imagined sensory experience. If a scene feels familiar and ordinary, your brain logs it as a literal fact. Once the brain accepts the scene as fact, the tension of desire vanishes. You cannot long for something you already have. The burning want is replaced by the heavy, undeniable feeling of possession. This shift leads to what is known as the Sabbath. It's a state of profound psychological relief. It is the quiet satisfaction that comes when the internal work is done, and there is nothing left to do but wait for the world to catch up. You can apply this blueprint tonight. As you lie in bed, you are going to perform a deliberate act of creation. Step 1 is physical surrender. Stop holding yourself up. Let your shoulders drop, unclench your jaw, and let gravity take your weight. Drift into that receptive liminal space. Step 2 is construction. Build a brief 5-second scene in your mind. It must be first person, present tense, and it must imply that your desire is already a normal part of your life. Step 3 is sensory anchoring. Engage a single physical sense within that scene. Feel the texture of an object in your hand, or hear a specific voice speaking to you. Make that one sensation as vivid as the room around you. Step 4 is repetition. Play that 5-second scene on a continuous loop. With every rotation, the sensory details become deeply etched into your subconscious. Loop the scene until it stops feeling like a fantasy and becomes a familiar memory. At that point, the struggle is over. You no longer need to look for evidence in the physical world because you have the internal certainty that the seed is planted. By impressing this state upon the subconscious, you have set a new blueprint in motion. The physical world will now rearrange to mirror this new internal truth. Stop wanting, start having, and fall asleep in the finished state tonight.